unbelievable that someone who is a high achiever has all the right tags, so-called, to be placed, and notches above in the society. Things like that has experienced this.
I'm not alone. Everyone has stories, let me tell
No,
you.
no, I'm just saying. So I want to understand, when was it intensely that you felt this bias is something to be written about? Was it a series of incidents? What you observed? What led to you kind of, getting inspired to write a whole entire book on this?
Yeah, so frankly, the trigger really wasn't my own story, because like I said, finally it did work out well for me. But I think part of it is because I've always been very self-motivated. And even in my earlier book, that my husband and I wrote, we used to use a line saying, don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. And that's really been the philosophy of our lives. And everybody goes through this. So I never realized till I wrote the book, and I never really reflected on, what could have been different, because frankly, our life has been quite unusual, very interesting, but and very privileged. But yeah, career was compromised. But two triggers. I have lost opportunities, but I didn't feel so bad about them. But a lot of other women have lost opportunities, or have had to abort their careers or compromise. And I felt that this was very unfair. And a lot of women like me have felt that acutely. The other thing is that for 20 years, we've done this work on the winning way. And we always talked about success. It's called the winning way, right? And we kind of talked about a formula for winning. It's a combination of ability, attitude, and passion. And you'll see that whether you are in sport or in, management, or you're a doctor, or you're in an orchestra, it works. But I somewhere realized that, women require something more. And that is why the whole thing started. I thought I'd do a researched book. Like I said, we have a big enough pool, and I'm lucky that, I'm in a place where I had a lot of access to these people. So I wasn't sure it would be a book. Initially, I thought maybe a series of blogs or something like that, but it just like one thing led to another, and there were so many interesting people to talk to. And then I said, I haven't explored this and I haven't explored that. So that's how it became a book.
Right. We're living in times where disruption has become such a common word, but the disruption is outside. It's always something you're disrupting outside. Do you think socially we haven't looked inwards enough to disrupt? There's scope to disrupt within?
Yeah.
Is there attention on that space? Is something happening on that side, so that we address the problems that you have raised?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I thought women are ready for this. But the ecosystem isn't. I think we've lived with it long enough, and so it's going to require a major disruption. And there are lots of uncomfortable questions. There are many systems that will need to be disrupted, and our own mindsets that need to change, So I think it is, but we will have to do it. And I think just making people aware and sensitizing is the way forward.
The title itself, there's a story behind it I was reading. Would you like to share that with our audience here? I mean, who inspired the title? What led to this title being locked?
Yeah. So we used to use a slide which was a quote from Steve Waugh, who, as most people would know, was captain of the Australian cricket team, the men's team. And he had said in a leadership context many, many years ago, saying leaders must treat their people equally yet differently. And, somebody, a senior woman, said to me many years ago, saying, isn't this so true for women? That also, women need to be treated equally yet differently, and women want flexibility on the input, but they want to be weighed in the same scales as men on the output. And that stayed with me. So actually the title or the term came before the book.
There are women, a lot of women here amongst us, though beauty products, they say have soft skin, but you're saying have a thick skin. What is your mantra? What's your advice to women who are trying to excel in this kind of a social setup where women really don't get equal opportunities?
What is my advice, you say? Oh, many little things. Some things that women need to do themselves, and some things that others need to cooperate, for want of another word. I think first thing is, I think they need to dream big. Yeah, all this signaling to women, though it's changing now, I must say, is about, being pretty and, being well groomed, looking good, looking attractive, and things like that. It has to be a lot more about confidence. It's about independence, and being able to do it yourself. And while we feel that there are a few ads which do say you're worth it, or you can achieve anything, you can be whatever you want. Can you really be whatever you want unless you're like family and spouse and children, and the whole setup allows you to do that? So what I'm saying is that they need to dream big. They need to tell everybody, this is what I want to do. Yeah, so I hope you will be there for me. So that's the first thing. Then also investing in a support system. That I think is a big thing, and I use the word investment. It's not a cost, it's an investment into your career. Then I think what I talked about, this kind of behavior really needs to change, and they need to act on it. They need to work in good workplaces, because that I think is a huge enabler. Good bosses, good employers are a big thing. And thick skin, like you said, because at the end of the day, you might do everything right, but there are still a lot of people, men and women, who have this tendency to make you feel very inadequate, very, especially when you're vulnerable. And just because some idiot decided to kind of say stupid things to you, saying, you're a young mother, how do you manage or something? Don't throw away your career. Which is why I talk about thick skin.
I will take some audience questions, but let me ask you, we blame sometimes men, and also when we talk about equality, we think it's like being like men. We see it in a very limited way. Is that true? When we say women should be equal, they should get equal opportunities, we look at the man's world and then say that it should be exactly the same.
Yeah. See, when you're in a minority, I think the need to conform is great. You don't want to stand out. Let me tell you, women who are in a minority don't want to stand out. They want to fit in. That was a bigger requirement. And therefore, like I said, the rules are made for the majority. And so a little bit of minor tweaking here or there is not going to help. You need to look at everything afresh and say, yes, this is a sizable segment. And, the rules have to work for everybody. So it's not about being like men, though there is a lot that women can learn from men, but men can also learn from women. That's equally true.
Right. So talking about men, you also have mentioned that men have become victims of their own conditioning. I was reading. So men themselves, they don't know, because the society has kind of perceives them to behave in a certain way, and they end up maybe doing what they are doing. How can this bigger problem be addressed? Is there a solution to this?
Yeah, sometimes when you are privileged, you don't accept it. Sometimes you don't even recognize it, because you've lived with that privilege all your life, right? If somebody says you can't do this, that's when you realize that that not everybody has this privilege. So that kind of acute sensitization, saying that I'm luckier than somebody else, and that's not fair. And you can't say that, yes, it's okay for you to have half the cake, but I'm not going to let go of my share. It's not okay, right? So a lot of people are, in the book I've said, mentally feminist, which means that, they say, yes, this is the right thing to do, but they're not willing to do anything. And especially if they have to let go of something or give up something, that's not happening.
Let's take a couple of questions. Anyone? Okay, please. Can we, all right.
Thank you, Anita ji, for your very engaging presentation. Just comments. One is, you said women are different. Look at the emotional vocabulary. You could say men are different. So we get programmed. And just two comments. One is, in America, when women entered the workforce, it was because of financial pressures. Otherwise, they were homemakers. Now that trend is happening in India. And finally, because there are no jobs or jobs are so limited in India, men give more preference to other men and not women because it will upset the social system, and especially in rural areas. So it's nothing to do about women
All right.
not being competent, but about
Okay, that was a
opportunities.
quick reaction. Anyone else? Yeah. Okay, this right in the front, yes.
Hi, I am Sakshi, and I just have like a very simple generic question,
Sure.
which is related to, social media has become very complex in everybody's life these days, and women and men and everybody like who are using social media, they are standing up for each other as well as for themselves, and actually putting up, some empowering words in order to influence others. So there are few sentences which usually recur, and because one is women lift each other up, and second one is women can also take each other down. So what is your ideal opinion on this, as well as the feminist economy and feminism in overall?
Yeah, so one of the statements in my book says that in an ideal world, women would be allies of other women. Yeah, but it's not an ideal world. And often, women who make it to the top just want to be seen to be exclusive, or are so kind of caught up in being like men that they don't seem to kind of believe in the sisterhood. Many of them don't want to be seen as being partial, and so they go the other way and are extra tough on this. So I think sisterhood, if played the right way, can be great, not as in ghettoization, that we are a separate pool, but just for the empathy and to help other people say you're not alone. A lot of people have gone through this and we have come out successful.
Okay.
Do we have more questions?
We can take 2 questions. We have 3 minutes here.
So we'll take 2 questions. Should we allow ma'am to select? I think there are
No,
more
we
hands.
can take, okay, one lady out there and one gentleman at the back.
Of course.
Hello, ma'am. I would like to start question on the title,
Sure.
which is equal yet different. So my question here, as representative of a woman, I'm an entrepreneur. So I have a question: why equal? Why not little more or different? So why it has to be
Why
a
do you have
struggle
to
of
say?
being equal? We can be a little more than what is equal.
Yeah, but
So-
some will be more, some will be less. Basic question is there is no differentiation. Doesn't matter whether you're a woman.
So I
In that
like-
sense, it is equal.
Right.
I'm not really making a, who's ahead and who's not. We are all equal, right? We are all equally capable.
I hope to see a world where we are not restricting to become equal, because that should not be a challenge.
But the
It
men
should
will
become
revolt.
little
Then men
more-
will start writing books, I
Yeah,
guess, right?
I know.
So
I
let's
know.
go to that gentleman at the
Okay,
back.
one
and,
more
yeah.
question. This is the last question we are taking, right? Sure.
My name is Dharmendra Rai. I'm a brain literacy trainer, and it's a coincidence that what I wanted to say, the small comment I want to make before I ask the question, is related to what she said. So according to my research, women have already won, and men have not even realized it. Men are floundering, and women have already won the race. And
Well,
we
if
could-
women had really won, we wouldn't have seen charts like that, right?
yeah, that's
I don't think it's.
So my
that's theatricality and deception.
Okay.
Okay. Can I ask the question?
okay.
Yeah. So I detect a conflict. On one hand, you are very rightly against patriarchy, and you don't seem to be against the concept of reservations. Reservations, in my view, is the ultimate form of patriarchy. So could you clarify your views?
No, personally, if you ask me, no, I'm not in favor of reservations. And there are a
Okay.
lot of young women who say, no, we are just as good. And in fact, a lot of reservation has backfired. And women selected on merit are being tagged as diversity candidates.
Yeah. So I'm wondering why there are not more vocal voices against reservation by women. That's
No, because a lot of people believe, and some of the younger women said we don't want, but if I ask a lot of the experienced older women, they feel that the veil of conditioning is so heavy to lift that unless you have a little bit of reservation for a while, It's going to be a very slow process.
All right, I think we have to wrap it here. It's 20 seconds, but thank you so much, Ms. Bhogle, for sharing your thoughts. And we got an opportunity to hear what the other side is thinking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The ultimate trick is to provoke people and get them to think. And that's when, you're going to change the world. So if you have left you with some thinking to do, that's great. Please do look at the book. Thank you so much.